First contact with the nightmares. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the readouts from the Morpheus device with growing concern. The neural patterns streaming across her holographic display didn't match anything she'd seen in 15 years of dream research. The test subject, a refugee from the Centaurian Empire, was experiencing something far more violent than standard REM sleep. "Are you seeing this?" she called to her colleague, Dr. James Martinez, who was already rushing to her station. The subject's brainwave patterns were spiking in impossible patterns, creating fractal designs that seemed to twist in four-dimensional space. The Centaurian in the chamber below thrashed against his restraints, his crystalline skin flickering with distress patterns. They'd taken him in after his entire colony fell into an inexplicable coma, their minds trapped in endless nightmares. He was one of the few who'd managed to wake up. "This isn't just a nightmare," Martins muttered, his fingers flying across the haptic interface. "Look at these quantum signatures. It's like something is feeding on his fear." The Morpheus device, humanity's first successful attempt at mapping and entering the dream dimension, began to ping warning signals. The quantum field surrounding their facility was destabilizing, creating micro-tears in the fabric of consciousness itself. Sarah made a decision that would change the course of human history. She grabbed a neural interface helmet from the equipment rack. "Boot up the emergency protocols. I'm going in." "That's insane," Martins protested. "We haven't even completed the human trials for dream insertion yet. We don't know if—" "Those are theoretical concerns," Sarah cut him off, already connecting the neural leads. "This is happening now. Whatever's attacking him isn't natural. And it's getting stronger. Human minds are more resistant to external psychic influence. You know this." Before Martinez could stop her, Sarah activated the neural link. The world dissolved into fractals of impossible geometry as her consciousness plunged into the dream dimension. The transition was nothing like their simulations had predicted. The dreamscape materialized around her as a twisted version of the Centaurian's home colony. The crystalline spires were shattered, leaking shadows that moved with predatory intent. In the distance, she could hear the screams of trapped minds echoing across the dimensional barrier. But what truly caught her attention were the entities feeding on those screams. They were ancient, hungry, and they'd never encountered anything quite like a human mind before. Sarah's consciousness expanded, powered by humanity's unique capacity for lucid dreaming, a trait that made them different from every other spacefaring race they'd encountered. While other species experienced dreams as passive observers, humans had evolved to shape them. The shadow creatures recoiled as Sarah's mind crystallized into coherent thought patterns. She wasn't just an observer here. She was becoming something else, something that could fight back. "Central, are you recording this?" she subvocalized through the neural link. "Because I think we just found out why the Centaurians are falling into comas. And I don't think these things are going to stop with just one colony." The shadow creatures circled her, trying to probe for weaknesses. But human consciousness was different. Messier, more chaotic, yet paradoxically more controlled. Millions of years of evolution had given humanity the ability to know they were dreaming, to control it, to fight back against their own nightmares. Sarah reached out with her mind, constructing barriers of pure thought. The shadows hissed and recoiled. For the first time in their ancient existence, they'd encountered prey that could hurt them back. "Dr. Chen," Martinez's voice crackled through her neural link, "your brainwave patterns are incredible. You're actually pushing them back." "Get me a secure link to UNC command," Sarah replied, maintaining her mental barriers. "And wake up every neurologist and combat psychologist we have, because I think humanity just found its next calling." As she held the line against the ancient dream predators, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Humanity had spent centuries wondering what their special trait would be, what would make them unique among the stars. Other races had superior technology, physical capabilities, or lifespans, but none of them could do this. None of them could fight back in the realm of dreams. The shadow creatures retreated, but Sarah knew they'd be back. And next time, humanity would be ready. Because while these entities had spent eons feeding on the nightmares of other races, they'd never faced a species that had evolved to master their own dreams. The age of dream warfare had begun, and humanity had just found its deadliest warriors, the ones who could turn nightmares against themselves. Project Dreamwalker. Gunnery Sergeant Maya Torres stood before the first class of Marine Dreamwalkers, studying the 20 volunteers with a mix of pride and concern. They represented humanity's finest, decorated combat veterans, all with unusually high lucid dreaming scores. But what they were about to attempt had never been done before. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice echoing through the underground facility nicknamed the Deep Sleep. "Forget everything you think you know about combat. Where we're going, physics is a suggestion. Reality is malleable. And the enemy is older than civilization itself." The holographic display behind her flickered to life, showing neural scans from the Centaurian incident. Dr. Chen stood quietly in the observation booth above, monitoring their brainwave patterns even now. In the 3 months since first contact with the dream entities, 17 more alien colonies had fallen to the spreading nightmare plague. "The entities we face are ancient predators that evolved in the dream dimension," Maya continued. "They feed on fear, pain, and despair. For eons, they've hunted unopposed in the dreams of sentient beings. Until they met us." She gestured, and the display showed comparison scans between human and alien neural patterns during sleep. Humanity evolved differently. While other species experience dreams passively, we developed the ability to become aware within them, to control them. This makes us uniquely qualified to fight back. Private Sarah Rodriguez raised her hand. "Man, how exactly do we fight something that isn't real?" Maya smiled. "That's where you're wrong, Private. The dream dimension is very real. It's a quantum layer of consciousness that connects all sentient minds. These creatures have been using it as their hunting ground. We're going to turn it into their nightmare." The next display showed the modified Morpheus devices, sleek pods designed to safely interface human consciousness with the dream dimension. Each was a marvel of human engineering and alien technology, created through collaboration with grateful Centaurian scientists. "Your training begins with learning to maintain conscious control in increasingly hostile dreamscapes," Maya explained. "Then we move on to dream combat. In there, your imagination is your weapon. Your will is your armor. But be warned, while physical death in the dream dimension won't kill you, psychological trauma is very real." She paused, letting that sink in. The enemy has never faced organized resistance. They've never encountered minds that could fight back. That changes now. You're about to become humanity's first line of defense against an enemy that threatens the sanity of every sentient species in the galaxy. The room hummed with tension and excitement. These Marines had signed up to protect humanity among the stars, but none of them had imagined they'd be fighting in the realm of dreams itself. "One more thing," Maya added, her expression grave. "Dr. Chen's research suggests these entities are connected to something larger, something that's taking notice of our resistance. We're not just fighting random predators. There's intelligence behind their attacks, and it's escalating." The first training session began that afternoon. The Marines were paired off and connected to training pods, their minds linked in controlled dreamscapes. Maya watched through the monitoring systems as they learned to manifest weapons from pure thought, construct barriers from willpower, and maintain their sense of self in environments that defied physics. Some adapted quickly, their military training providing a foundation for this new kind of combat. Others struggled with the fluid nature of dream reality, their minds too rooted in physical limitations. But all of them showed the unique human capacity to face nightmares head-on. Dr. Chen joined Maya in the control room, reviewing the neural data. "They're progressing faster than we anticipated," she noted, "especially Torres and Rodriguez. Their dream sync ratings are off the charts." Maya nodded. "Marines adapt. It's what we do. But I'm worried about what happens when we deploy for real. Training scenarios are one thing. Actual combat against these entities is another. We don't have much choice, Chen replied grimly. 3 more colonies fell into comas last week. The nightmare plague is spreading, and conventional defenses are useless. We need to take the fight to them. As if in response to her words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The dream monitoring systems were detecting a massive surge in entity activity, centered on Earth. They're not waiting for us to be ready, Maya realized, already moving to sound general quarters. They're bringing the fight to us. The first class of Marine Dreamwalkers was about to graduate early. Humanity's defenders would have to learn the rest in combat, fighting an enemy that had turned dreams into weapons long before mammals walked the Earth. But they had something the enemy didn't understand, the stubborn, unshakable human conviction that nightmares could be beaten. And these Marines were about to prove it. The battle for sweet dreams. The first wave hit New York at midnight. One moment, 8 million people were dreaming their usual dreams. The next, their minds were under siege by entities that had perfected the art of nightmare over millions of years. But this time, humanity was ready. Dreamwalker Squad, synchronize and deploy. Maya's voice cut through the chaos of the Deep Sleep Command Center. 20 pods hummed to life as the first class of Marine Dream Warriors initiated neural interface protocols. On the massive holographic display above, red dots representing nightmare entity intrusions multiplied across the globe. Remember your training, Maya transmitted through the neural link as her consciousness merged with the dream dimension. We hold the line here. Humanity's sleeping minds are counting on us. The dreamscape materialized around them. A twisted version of Manhattan, where reality obeyed nothing but fear. Skyscrapers bent like rubber, their windows weeping darkness. The sky above churned with impossible colors, and in the distance, vast shapes moved with predatory grace. Private Rodriguez's mental voice crackled through their shared consciousness. Multiple civilian mines under attack in the Lower East Side. They're feeding on a cluster of apartment buildings. Squad 1, with me, Maya commanded. Squad 2, establish a perimeter around Times Square. Don't let them concentrate their forces. The Marines moved through the dream city with practiced precision, their minds projecting barriers of pure will, shields against the encroaching darkness. They'd trained for this, but the sheer scale of the attack was staggering. The nightmare entities weren't just hunting. They were invading. Maya's squad reached the apartment complex to find shadow things wrapped around the building like hungry vines, burrowing into windows to reach the dreamers within. Inside, they found the first signs of resistance. A child's mind was fighting back. In her dreams, 10-year-old Lucy Chen had transformed her bedroom into a fortress of stuffed animals and night lights, each toy glowing with the pure belief that monsters could be beaten. The shadow things recoiled from her defiance, confused by this unprecedented resistance. Now that's humanity for you, Maya transmitted to her squad. Even our children know how to fight back. Form up on the kids' position. We're going to show these things what happens when they mess with human dreams. The Marines materialized in Lucy's dream fortress, their minds projecting weapons formed from humanity's oldest stories, swords of sunlight, shields of hope, armor forged from unshakable will. The nightmare entities hissed in ancient languages, tasting something they'd never encountered in all their eons of hunting. Organized, disciplined human imagination, turned into a weapon. Push them back, Maya ordered, her consciousness expanding to link with her squad. In the dream dimension, their minds could work as one, creating barriers and weapons that no single dreamer could maintain. The shadow things fought back with primordial terror. Images and sensations evolved to paralyze prey with fear. But humanity had long since learned to face its fears, to wrestle with nightmares, to wake up and know that darkness could be defeated. Across the city, Squad 2 was holding Times Square, turning the iconic location's lights and screens into weapons of pure radiance. The nightmare entities discovered, to their confusion, that humans had spent centuries creating stories about defeating monsters. Now those stories became ammunition. Dr. Chen, Maya transmitted to command. We're holding, but there's something else coming. Something bigger. Through the quantum fields of shared consciousness, they felt it approaching. A vast, ancient intelligence that had orchestrated the attack. The source of the nightmare plague. The entity that had been hunting civilizations since before Earth cooled. It manifested as a void in the dream sky, a darkness that devoured light and hope. But as it reached toward Earth's dreaming minds, it encountered something unprecedented. Humans weren't running. All across the globe, people were beginning to wake up inside their dreams. The untrained masses couldn't fight like the Marines, but they could do something just as powerful. They could refuse to be afraid. Maya felt the change rippling through the dream dimension as millions of human minds suddenly shifted from passive observers to active participants in their dreams. The nightmare entity recoiled, overwhelmed by the sudden awakening of so much conscious will. This is why you should have left us alone. Maya projected toward the ancient consciousness. Humanity doesn't just dream. We shape our dreams. We fight our nightmares, and we just showed everyone else in the galaxy how to do it too. The vast entity retreated, taking its shadows with it. As it fled, Maya caught fragments of its thoughts. Confusion, fear, and something unexpected. Respect. For the first time in its ancient existence, it had encountered prey that fought back. Prey that could win. In the deep sleep command center, Dr. Chen watched the holographic display as the red dots of entity activity vanished one by one. The first battle for humanity's dreams was over. But everyone knew the war was just beginning. Maya pulled her consciousness back to her physical body, exhausted but proud. Her Marines had held the line, protecting not just humanity's dreams, but proving that nightmares could be beaten. The next step would be teaching other species how to fight back. As she emerged from her pod, Maya smiled. The nightmare entities had spent eons evolving to be the perfect predators of dreams, but they'd never faced a species that had evolved to be dream warriors. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, teaching others how to fight back against their own fears. And the marine dreamwalkers would lead the way. Mind over matter. In the 3 months since the Battle of New York, the nature of dream warfare had changed. The nightmare entities had learned to fear humans, but that only made them more dangerous. Like any cornered predator, they were evolving. Private Sarah Rodriguez sat in the Deep Sleep Facility's meditation chamber, her mind linked to the quantum scanners that monitored the dream dimension. Around her, holographic displays showed the neural patterns of sleeping minds across Earth and its colonies, a constant reminder of what they were protecting. "They're learning from us," she reported to Dr. Chen, who was analyzing the data streams. "Every engagement shows new tactics. They're adapting to our methods. That's what makes them truly dangerous," Chen replied, manipulating a 3-dimensional model of entity behavior patterns. They've spent millions of years as apex predators in the dream dimension. Now they're being forced to evolve rapidly, and the results are concerning. The latest reports from the frontier showed nightmare entities employing human-like strategies, coordinated attacks, tactical retreats, even attempts to turn human dream-fighting techniques against other species. But they hadn't counted on humanity's greatest weapon, our ability to adapt even faster. Maya Torres entered the chamber, her expression grim. "We lost contact with the Centaurian outpost in the Proxima system. But this time, it's different. The entities didn't attack the colonists directly." She gestured, and a holographic display shifted to show neural scans from the outpost. "They infected their dreams with our memories, our fears. They're using human nightmares as weapons." The implications were staggering. The nightmare entities weren't just learning human tactics, they were absorbing human consciousness itself, turning our own evolved defense mechanisms into weapons against other species. "This is my fault," Chen said quietly. "When I first entered the dream dimension, I showed them that human minds were different. Now they're using that difference against our allies." "No," Maya countered. "You showed us how to fight back. And now we're going to show them why that was their biggest mistake." The marine dreamwalkers had made their own evolutionary leap. Through countless engagements with the nightmare entities, they'd discovered something unprecedented. Human consciousness could do more than just resist the dream dimension. It could reshape it. Rodriguez demonstrated by closing her eyes and extending her consciousness into the quantum field. The meditation chamber sensors registered a localized stabilization of dream space, a bubble of pure, controlled reality in the chaos of the dream dimension. "We're not just fighting them anymore," she explained. "We're changing the rules of their home territory. Every human mind that learns to lucid dream adds to our collective strength. We're turning the dream dimension itself against them." The nightmare entities had evolved to hunt in the chaotic quantum foam of dreams, but humans were imposing order on that chaos. Each trained dreamer became a point of stability, creating safe harbors in the dream dimension, where other species could learn to fight back. Dr. Chen's latest research had revealed why humans were uniquely suited for this role. "Our brains evolved to create predictive models of reality," she explained. "We don't just experience dreams, we actively try to make sense of them. That drive for order, for narrative, is anathema to these creatures." Maya nodded. "That's why they're really afraid of us. We're not just fighting their nightmares. We're giving dreams meaning, purpose. We're turning their hunting ground into something new." The meditation chamber's alerts suddenly flared to life. The quantum sensors were detecting a massive surge in entity activity, but this time it was different. The nightmare creatures weren't attacking. They were gathering. "They're organizing," Rodriguez realized, watching the patterns form. "All these months of fighting us, learning from us, they're becoming something new." The holographic display showed concentrations of nightmare entities converging across the dream dimension, forming structures that mirrored human neural patterns. They were creating their own version of organized consciousness. "Then we'll adapt too," Maya declared. "Humanity didn't get to the stars by staying the same. If they want to evolve, we'll show them what real evolution looks like." She turned to her assembled Marines. "We're going to teach every species in the galaxy how to fight their own nightmares, not just for survival, but for growth. Because that's what humans do. We turn our fears into strength." The nightmare entities had created a new kind of war, thinking they could use human consciousness against itself. But they'd forgotten something crucial about humanity. We thrive on challenges. Every attempt to use our fears against us only made us stronger. As the marine dreamwalkers prepared for their next evolution in dream combat, they carried with them humanity's greatest weapon, the unshakable belief that nightmares exist to be overcome. The entities had spent eons learning how to create fear. Now they would learn why humans had spent millennia learning to face it. The dream dimension would never be the same, and neither would humanity. Dawn's light. The dream dimension blazed with consciousness. What had once been a chaotic quantum realm of nightmares had become a battlefield of order versus entropy, of meaning versus fear. And at the center of it all, humanity had discovered its true purpose among the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Deep Sleep Command Center, watching the largest deployment of marine dreamwalkers in history. 500 trained human minds, supported by thousands of civilian lucid dreamers, prepared to face the evolved nightmare entities in what they hoped would be a final confrontation. "They're coming," Maya Torres announced, her consciousness already half-merged with the dream dimension. "And they're not running this time." The entities had spent 6 months adapting to human dream combat, learning from each defeat, absorbing our tactics and fears. Now they had emerged as something new, a collective consciousness that mirrored humanity's organized resistance. But in becoming more like us, they had gained something unexpected: the capacity to understand. The battle began not with an attack, but with a signal. The nightmare entities reached out across the dream dimension with a complex pattern of quantum fluctuations, an attempt at communication. "They want to talk," Rodriguez reported from her pod, her mind translating the alien thoughts. "They've evolved enough to realize this war can't be won by either side." Through the neural link, the marine dreamwalkers perceived the entity's message. Eons of hunting other species' dreams had given them supreme power, but humanity had shown them something new: the possibility of change, of growth, of becoming more than what they were. Maya's consciousness expanded to meet the vast, dark intelligence that had once sought to feed on human fears. You understand now, don't you? Why we fought so hard. Why we couldn't let you continue hunting the dreams of others. The entity's response rippled through the dream dimension. Understanding. They had evolved to feed on fear because fear was easy, predictable. But human dreams showed them something more valuable: the power of consciousness to overcome its own limitations. Dr. Chen watched in amazement as the quantum readings shifted. The nightmare entities weren't retreating or attacking. They were changing. Their very nature was transforming from predators of dreams to something entirely new. They're offering a partnership. Rodriguez translated, her mind linked with the evolving consciousness. They want to learn from us, to help us protect and guide the dreams of other species. The implications were staggering. The very creatures that had once threatened all sentient life could become its guardians. The predators of dreams could become shepherds of consciousness. Maya turned to her Marines, their minds still battle-ready but now filled with cautious hope. "This is why humanity went to the stars," she declared. "Not just to fight monsters, but to show them a better way. To prove that even the darkest nightmares can transform into something meaningful." The next few hours saw the most remarkable evolution in the history of consciousness. The nightmare entities, guided by human dreamers, began to reshape themselves. Their ancient hunger for fear became a drive to understand, to protect, to nurture the dreams they had once fed upon. Across the galaxy, sleeping minds began to experience something new: dreams guided not by chaos and terror, but by the combined wisdom of human consciousness and ancient dream beings. The entity's millions of years of experience in the dream dimension, paired with humanity's capacity for growth and meaning, created something unprecedented: a school for dreamers. Dr. Chen's final report to Earth's governments told the story of humanity's greatest victory, one achieved not through destruction, but through transformation. The marine dreamwalkers became teachers, showing both humans and reformed entities how to guide other species toward mastery of their own dreams. "We went looking for monsters to fight," Maya reflected, watching the dream dimension shimmer with new possibilities. "Instead, we found the power to turn nightmares into allies. That's humanity's real strength. Not just facing our fears, but showing others how to transform theirs." The nightmare war ended not with a battle, but with an awakening. Humanity had proven that even the most ancient predators could evolve, that consciousness itself could transcend its origins. The dream dimension, once a hunting ground of terrors, became a realm of infinite potential. And in dreams across the galaxy, children of 1,000 species slept peacefully, guarded by the combined wisdom of humanity's youngest warriors and the universe's oldest minds. Together, they ensured that nightmares would never again hunt unopposed, because every sleeping mind now carried the most powerful weapon of all: the knowledge that fear itself could be transformed into strength. Dawn had finally come to the realm of dreams, and with it, a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself.